Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream. Today, something slightly different. Something slightly different for us to talk about today, mainly at least. Ruben Amorim, Manchester United. I feel like after all the Alexander Isak talk and all of that stuff, I feel like we should be talking about something a little different today. Don't get me wrong. If you guys want to talk about Liverpool, Isak, anything else that you guys want to talk about, feel free to jump in the chat like a couple of you are doing right now as well. But for the main part of this video, this live stream, I want to discuss what's going on at United. Obviously, for those of you who are new, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I am looking at this from a rival perspective, an outside perspective, from the outside looking in kind of thing. But I always try to keep it as neutral and as fair and as honest as I can. I might throw in the odd comment here and there, but for the most part, because this is what I'm trying to do properly, I'm going to try and be fair and honest about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying seeing United in the mud. Who wouldn't as a rival fan, especially after ruining so much of my childhood with constantly winning? But these days, the glory days aren't quite as there as what they used to be. United down in the dumps, down in the mud. And yesterday was just glorious to see the mighty United almost pull off a shock by coming from 2 goals down to beat Grimsby. But ultimately, after a lengthy penalty shootout, a couple of poor penalties, Poppadom hands, Onana once again striking again, United's dreams this season of lifting the Carabao Cup are crushed by the mighty Grimsby Town. What was it? The theatre of dreams is now the theatre of nightmares. Well, let's turn on. It's gone a bit dark in here. And now we are left watching United crumble before our very eyes. I just wanted to kind of gauge the opinions of you guys. Maybe some of you are United fans. Maybe some of you are looking at this from the outside perspective, looking in, that kind of thing. I'm intrigued to know from you guys what you guys are thinking and feeling about all of this. Is there one pure solution to this? Is there a multiple... are there multiple issues at United that need addressing? Has the takeover not quite worked? Has the gambles and risks that the ownership or new ownership have taken not quite worked? I want to get the thoughts of you guys, especially on this one, because I am very intrigued by this situation at Manchester United. Can it be resolved? Can it be fixed? Can United go back to challenging again? Or is this just a process that is going to take a lot longer than what a lot of people realize? And let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling in the chat, as well as other things that you may want to talk about. We won't strictly keep this United. I like to keep it all kind of football, but I like to have one main topic that is the bulk of the conversation in this. So if you guys do want to talk about Liverpool or Isak or Gahey or Arsenal or maybe even throw in a Brighton or something, I don't know. Let me know what you guys want to talk about today. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about any of the topics that we're going to be talking about. Really appreciate that from each and every single one of you, along with, of course, you liking the video and subscribing as well to the channel if you're new. Make sure you do both of those things, guys. Really appreciate it. Really does help me out. And, of course, I absolutely love and adore the support from each and every single one of you. You guys are absolutely awesome, and thank you so much for joining me on this Thursday afternoon as we count down the days to game week 3 of the brand new season. The Premier League predictions video will be out tomorrow, so do keep an eye out for that one. But I hope we're all doing well. I hope we're all doing well first and foremost. I hope everybody in the chat is doing well. I hope we're all good. I hope we're all safe and sound and enjoying life so far. Big up to you, AR. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. Yeah. Big up to yourself, man. And like I say, do what he says, people. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. You guys mean the world. we need to focus on our club, squad depth, strengthening, signings, reinforcements to challenge for trophies this season. It's absolutely chucking it down in rain. To challenge for trophies this season. Champions League draw today. You'll never walk alone. I mean, I'm surprised we're dragging our feet with things, to be honest. I was hoping that we'd have some news on Gahey by tomorrow. We still might. There are rumours going around that we're going to put in another bid for Gahey within the next 24 to 48 hours or so. So fingers crossed on that level that does happen and we don't leave it until last minute deadline day and all of that kind of stuff. Although it has been a while since we've been involved in a few deadline day stuff. So it could be interesting and exciting. But at the same time, you know, I'm hoping there will be some movement on Gahey, and I'm hoping there's going to be some movement with Stradlarsson as well to Newcastle, which could free up the possibility of Isak coming to Liverpool as well. Got to get Gahey and Isak sorted. Absolutely 100% agree. Only 3 days left of the summer transfer window till it closes. We need squad depth and reinforcement. I would like a CDM and winger as well. Unfortunately, I think we're only going to get 2 signings. I think Gahey will be done. Isak, I don't know. Anyone think we could probably get him on loan and then with an obligation to buy? Maybe that's just too crazy. Nah, it's too weird. I threw it out there and I instantly thought, no, that's just stupid. Why would I say that? What is happening to Tsimikas, Elliott, Bajcetic, Reece, Williams, and Calvin Ramsey? I have no idea on Bajcetic, Williams, and Ramsey. Elliott's agreed personal terms allegedly with Leipzig, but there doesn't seem to be a bid because no one knows what's happening with Xavi Simons. So I think as soon as Simons goes to one of either Tottenham or Chelsea, it seems, I think that then will mean Leipzig going for Elliott, which again could be like a deadline day thing. Tsimikas is going on loan to Roma. So Tsimikas to Roma on loan and Elliott to, I would assume, by Leverkusen once the Xavi Simons deal gets done and dusted. Big up Reluctant Gamer. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you back with us, my friends. I hope you're doing very, very well indeed. Big up Marco's in the chat as well. Lovely to have you here, my bro. Can Burnley beat Man United at Old Trafford? You know what? It's entirely possible. If you were to ask me at the beginning of the week who would win that game, I would have said Man United hands down. They get their first win of the season and they kick on from there. Now, I'm not so sure, man. I am not so sure. This could be anything. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley win. United are all over the place right now. And it's not the newly incoming players that's the problem, obviously. It's the ones that are already there. It's the square pegs in round holes. It's Diallo playing at right wing back for no apparent reason. It's Bruno Fernandes in the number 8, square peg, round hole, doesn't work. It's the fact that Ugarte is getting minutes over Kobbie Mainoo. What the hell is that all about? There are so many issues at United. There's so many issues at United. It's crazy. It is genuinely crazy what is going on right now. I like it as a rival. Love it as a rival. No more glory days. It's the haunted days now. Absolutely. What kit is it? It is Valencia. I can't remember what year though off the top of my head. I think it's 21, 22 or 22, 23. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's Valencia, the La Liga Spanish club. Liverpool EPL fixtures: Arsenal, Burnley, Everton, Palace, Chelsea, United, Brentford, Villa, City, Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Brighton, Fulham. We need taking out in-house issues. It's an up and down roller coaster, isn't it? Arsenal, tough. Burnley should be straightforward. Everton, awkward. Palace, awkward. Chelsea, awkward. United, even if they are playing bad right now, still awkward. Brentford should be straightforward. Villa, depending on their form and how they're doing in the Europa League, could be awkward. City is going to be awkward. Forest is going to be awkward. West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds should be straightforward. Brighton could be awkward. And Fulham, if Fulham are at home, that's going to be awkward. I don't remember if we are at home or away though. So depends on that one. Highest Grim Day paid players get 5k a week. Most 1 to 3k a week. Bruno gets 300k. Yeah, absolutely. How you doing, Fletch? Big up Bush Baptist. How you doing? Well, my bro. You know, Gehi and Izak both are signing. You don't want to say it. Why wouldn't they want to join the best team? Well, they do want to join, but it's just the only problem is that their clubs are being awkward about it. How is it that we have no problem getting rid of players without actually buying the replacements beforehand? But other teams go, no, we can't sell him unless we buy a replacement. We just go, okay, Darwin Núñez, you go over there. You go over there, Darwin Núñez, and then we'll bring in a replacement after you. And then we do. Or we're attempting to, at least. Everybody else, though, no, we need to buy a replacement. They didn't need to buy a replacement for Eze, though, did they? Didn't need that, but apparently they need to buy a replacement for Gehi. Make it make sense. Best comedy I've ever watched, probably Alan Partridge. Well, that was until Amorim took over the Manx. This is even better than when Moyes was at the helm. It is amusing, isn't it? Big up NFPS. I hope you're doing well, my bro. Blaming Amorim just shows what type of fan base we have. We will get onto that. What's your prediction, Arsenal versus Liverpool? Predictions video's out tomorrow, mate. Predictions video out tomorrow. So I'm not going to give too much away in terms of predictions for this weekend, in terms of what I'm thinking and feeling, but you can check it out in tomorrow's video. Let's go on with the topic then. The main bulk of this video, Amorim. Interesting stuff that came out yesterday after the defeat to Grimsby. Look, the defeat to Grimsby, result-wise, look, embarrassing that you lost to a League Two team. But everybody now and then gets knocked out of a cup competition to a lower league team. It just happens. Sometimes it does happen. I've seen even Sir Alex Ferguson get beat by Championship and League One sides in certain cup competitions. Like, it just happens. You just have to accept it, dust yourself down, get yourself back up, take your medicine, and then move on. But yesterday wasn't just about the result. Yesterday for United was about the performance as well. And I've been thinking about this for the past couple of weeks now. And at first, I sucked into the whole United had turned the corner. United played very well against Arsenal. And they did play very well against Arsenal. They were just unfortunate that they couldn't put away any of the chances that they created for a combination of either poor finishing or David Raya being brilliant, right? But then I thought about it and I looked at last week's game against Fulham. And the opening half an hour, again, was very good. The opening half an hour was very good. But when Bruno Fernandes missed that penalty, that was the turning point. The turning point of that game was that moment where Fulham crept back into it. Fulham started to play they started to play very, very well. And Man United didn't really have any sort of way of responding. United were like, right, we've just given it our best shot. We had a great opportunity to score. I don't know. And that was basically what was happening. And then they did actually go on and score. United from that, I believe it was a corner, went and scored from that. And then they panicked. They went, oh my God, we didn't actually expect us to go 1-0 up. And then they panicked. And then it allowed Fulham even more back into the game. And allowing Fulham back into the game, they couldn't hold on. They made a few subs. It's clear that their strength and depth is still not good enough, but everybody should have known that, because you don't simply change 12 years of rotting in a year. That just does not happen. You can't do that at a football club, especially. So they allowed Fulham back into the game. Fulham got back into it, and you could maybe even argue they probably should have gone on to win the game. As it is, they took a point, they shared the points, and we move forward to Grimsby, where whatever the hell happened last night happened for United, right? Problem with that all is that at first I bought into the whole United are changing, United are adapting, United just need some time. And to a certain extent, that's true. There should be time given to Amorim. There should be time given to Man United to get things right. Because like I said before, you can't change a club overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, and this club has been left to rot for 12 years. Maybe even over 12 years in the final couple of years of Sir Alex Ferguson. That is obviously what has been taking place over the course of the past decade. So to an extent, that does need to happen. But at the same time, in saying that, nothing's really changing with Ruben Amorim. Now, I know that Sesko hasn't played, so he doesn't really have a proper striker up front. I know that the goalkeeping situation is still a problem. Why it's still a problem, I've got no idea. Everybody, even my 18-month-old daughter knew that United had a problem with the goalkeeper, and it should have been addressed before now. But for whatever reason, he still plays one of Bayende or Onana, and Tom Heaton's there like, what have I got to do to get a game? What has he got to do to get a game? He's seeing Onana and Bayende make mistake after mistake after mistake every week. And he's sat there going, what's the point? What's the point of me being here if these clowns can go in goal, have poppadoms for hands, make mistakes on a regular basis that are schoolboy errors, and he's just sat there watching this all unfold? At that point, that's where I blame the manager. Because at that point, you should know what kind of goalkeepers you have. You should know what kind of goalkeepers you have. You should know their flaws. You should know their issues. And you should be like, right, this obviously ain't working. These two can't perform. I'm going to have to look elsewhere. The worst that happens with Tom Heaton is he's just as bad as the rest. That's the worst that can happen. It can't be any worse than what Onana and Bayende are. It can't be any worse. But the overall performance of the team last season when Amorim came in, they were decent against the big sides. They pulled off wins against Manchester City. They pulled off draws against Liverpool. They pulled off Arsenal, of course. They pulled off draws against Liverpool and Arsenal. I think, am I right in thinking they drew against Chelsea? I think I'm right in thinking that, but I could be wrong on that. But if but even so, I still think they performed decent in those games. The problem is not the big games. The big games is where United actually decide we're going to turn up today. The big games are where they actually decide, you know what, today we're going to go up to a new level and we're going to surprise the team that we're playing against. We're going to get a decent result and we're going to feel good about it. And then the week after, they go to a team that they either should be beating or they should at least be doing well against, and the performance just dips. The mentality of that team is rotten to the core, and that's partly on the manager, partly on the team. But when you look at the overall squad and you see that there's players there from the Jose era, the Ten Hag era, the Van Gaal era. You know, all of these different managers that have been and gone since Fergie. There are still players and memories and little pieces of bits and pieces from all of those different managers and different eras. No wonder why it's rotten. No wonder why it's rotten. And look, that's where I feel sorry for Amorim. At the same time, Amorim should have known what exactly he was walking into. It wasn't like this was a secret or anything. We all knew it from the outside looking in. We all knew the problems that United had. I don't think he's helped himself. I don't think he's entirely blameless in this. Like I say earlier, square pegs and round holes in certain cases. Stop playing Onana and Bayindir. They're both useless. Like, you could put both of them in goal and they still would be useless. Stop playing Amad Diallo as a right wing back. It just doesn't work. Amad Diallo as a right wing back just does not work. Bruno Fernandes as the number 8 does not work. Stop playing Manuel Ugarte. He's absolutely useless. Trust in the players that you're bringing in, because at least there is a potential of a change in culture. At least there is a potential of a change in culture in terms of that. Simple as that. Just keep attempting to change culture that way. And another thing as well, just on, obviously these are problems that go beyond the manager. There's no doubt about it. They go way, 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 way beyond the manager. It's not just the manager that's the problem. The club, the fans are all arguing with each other. The fans are all not singing on the same hymn sheet. There is a distance, a gap between the club and the fans. The players are the issues. They're seemingly downing tools. The comments that Ruben Amorim, which we'll go through soon later in this video, seem to suggest that is the case as well. There are so many issues at this club. It goes way deeper beyond the manager. And just on the Amorim in, Amorim out debate, at what point do you just decide, you know what, we're going to have to just suck up this pain? We're going to have to suck up this pain and just have to go through this storm for now. Because every time you change a manager, in my opinion, you get further and further away from being fixed. That's just the way that I see it. Unless you obviously go for a manager that's somewhat similar, but is more maybe adaptable, more flexible. If you go for someone completely different, it might work for a good several months. It might even work for a whole season. But there's nothing sustainable about it. There's nothing long-term about it. I think the longer that you keep on chopping and changing manager, changing direction, you're getting further and further away from being fixed. How do you know that? Because it happened with Moyes, it happened with Van Gaal, it happened with Mourinho, it happened with Ten Hag, and it's happening again with Amorim. 5 managers post Sir Alex Ferguson, all different in terms of their philosophy, the way they carry themselves, the way they talk about themselves, the way they talk about the club. They expose the horrible mess that is United in their own way. And yet, United fans didn't want to see it. They didn't want to see it. They didn't want to believe it. But every single time, the managers that do that are proven right in the long term. In the long term, they're proven right. But what happens is they bring in shiny new toys of players. They bring in a new manager who starts off really enthusiastically, really brightly. And then slowly they start to break down. And what I saw last night from Ruben Amorim was a man who was broken down. He looked broken. He looked exhausted already. He'd only been in the job for, 9 months or something along them lines. And yet, he looked done. He looked done. Put a fork in him, he's done. That is what I saw last night from Ruben Amorim. Do you think Newcastle can win Leeds this weekend? It's an away game. We only got 1 point so far. Ellen Road, tough place to go. The injuries as well that you picked up on Monday may seem like Leeds may fancy their chances a little bit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, on paper, you should be winning. On paper, you absolutely should be winning. But again, the injuries, Anthony Gordon's suspension, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced, in all honesty. Do you think you will get Isak? If yes, at what price? Monday, 7 p.m. deadline. I think 120 mil as a base fee, 20 million in achievable add-ons. I think a total of 140 million will get the job done. I think you'll get Strand Larsen by Sunday. And then by Monday, pushing it late, Liverpool will get the deal done and will finally put an end to this long, drawn-out, stupid saga. I don't know why Grimsby was celebrating so much last night. It was only Man United after all. Big up you, my bro. I'm glad you're with us on this Thursday afternoon. Big up to yourself. I love the comment. Who else to blame for United apart from Amorim? He has a team of decent players and none of them, according to him, can play 3-4-3. Absolute. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say none of them can play 3-4-3. I think the defence and midfield is a problem that they've neglected. I think, although, you know, maybe Sesko was a decent opportunity, I think you probably could have... I think United probably could have gone with Xerxes up front and maybe use that 70 million on a Donnarumma, put that 70 million maybe towards Belieber earlier, maybe. I just think there are probably better ways to spend the Sesko money. I understand Cunha. I understand Mbeumo. And you know what? If in the long run this Sesko deal does work out, then great. But for the here and now, I don't necessarily think striker was probably the way to go about it. I think the midfield and goalkeeper obviously needed to be addressed. And like I say, the goalkeeper situation especially, the fact that it took them all summer to realise, oh, we need a new goalkeeper, and now they are pushing for a new goalkeeper. I don't necessarily think I've watched him before, I don't think. But I don't really know. It's just mad to me. It's just mad to me that they've took all summer to realise, oh, we need a new goalkeeper. We spent so much time focusing on Mbeumo and Cunha and Sesko. We forgot about the goalkeeper. We forgot our goalkeeper is useless. We forgot that our goalkeeper is about as useful as a concrete parachute. Oh, who'd have thought it? We might as well have put a statue in goal. It would have been much better. It's just mad to me. Shamal FC, big up to you, my friend. Lovely to have you here with us. Reluctant Gamer recommended this channel to me. Oh, big up Reluctant Gamer. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Which team do you support? I'm a Liverpool fan, bro. Liverpool fan. I know I'm wearing a Valencia shirt, but I don't mind wearing shirts of other teams. As long as they're not English. That's my only rule. I don't wear another English team shirt unless it's for a charity or I lose a bet or whatever. That's the only time you'll ever see me wear another English team shirt. Otherwise, I'm cool with wearing foreign team shirts. And there are some nice foreign team shirts out there. So, fair play. But yeah, Liverpool fan through and through. Big up to you, my friend. Lovely to have you on board with us. They do what he asks on the pitch. Football is a performance-based industry. You can blame the owners if they hadn't spent, but they spent big again. I mean, Amorim can only do so much. I mean, like I said, when you look at the creative aspects of Man United this season so far, they are pretty much top of the metric when you consider that they are one of the more creative teams. They just can't stick the ball into the back of the net. And even Pep Guardiola says this, that he can only coach up to the penalty area. From the penalty area onwards, it's up to the players. It's up to the players and their ability. I do think eventually it will somewhat click if they stick with him and stick with it. But for right now, it's a player issue. It's a player issue just as much as it is a managerial issue. Like I say, I don't think the manager covers himself in much glory by playing two of the worst goalkeepers I think I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen Loris Karius, by the way. But at the same time, Amorim is not the one that is in the box about to score. They are. So there's so many problems that I think just goes beyond the manager, I will say. Big old Shaman, you'll never walk alone yourself, my bro. Grimsby had 2 disallowed goals as well, one unfairly. Yeah, that's true as well. That's very true as well. If obviously VAR was in use on the night, it could have been even worse for United, and it might not have even gone to penalties. Maybe Grimsby would have got the job done in normal time. But yeah, they got very fortunate. Big up Barber. How you doing? Well, my bro. Lovely to have you with us. The new shiny attackers in Buomo and Cunha both missed pens. Brilliant. Cunha deceived pen was shocking. I don't blame Buomo as he already scored a penalty earlier and got them back in the game anyway. Even so, you as a professional footballer being paid that much money, you still score. You still score. You get the job done. Simple as that. Yes, banter club. Absolutely. Bro, every man. Anana is hilarious. Every time you see him play, it's like watching You Been Framed. Mr. Bean as well. We like having Mr. Bean in. Although I imagine Mr. Bean's probably better in goal, to be perfectly honest with you. I imagine Mr. Bean would probably be better in goal than them. I feel like Bender would have saved more than 1 out of 12. Anana only saved 1 and touched like 6. Must be the Vaseline he puts on his glove. This is the weird thing, right? This is like a goalkeeper that when he was at Inter Milan was solid. He was a solid enough goalkeeper at Inter Milan. And all of a sudden, he's gone to Man United and he's appalling. So either he's got a twin brother who is just useless and has taken his place and no one knows about it. He's got some sort of doppelganger that's wiped out all of his talent. Maybe there's a Space Jam situation where aliens have come down and taken his goalkeeping talent away from him that he had at Inter in order to secure a move to Man United or whatever. Or, for whatever reason, there's something going on there because he was a solid enough goalkeeper with Inter. He was solid enough. He just, for whatever reason, has got his wrists are just weak. His wrists are weak. The amount of times where he flaps and he swipes at the ball and it just goes through his gloves like they aren't even there. Like, it's bizarre to me. It's very much bizarre. Usually worse teams boat well in horrid weather, but the funny thing with Grimsby was 2-0 with dry weather and Man United came back during the storm, who is the League 2 team now. I mean, Grimsby absolutely bullied United yesterday. Like I say, it wasn't just about the result, it was about the performance as well. If you were someone that didn't watch football and you were to sit there with a friend who told you one of these is a Premier League team and one of these is a League 2 team, and then explain the football pyramid and ask you to guess which one was which, you'd think that Grimsby were the Premier League team last night. That is how the golfing class was. And that one is down on Amorim. Like, that can't be happening. Anana should be made to sign a 10-year contract with Amorim. Yeah, thanks. They are great. Believe in the process. They've got to do something. They've got to do something. They've got to stick it out at one point or another. Otherwise, they're just going to keep chopping and changing managers, hoping one will eventually stick. And one may stick for about a season. Look at what happened with Ten Hag. First season, 4th, Carabao Cup. Things seem to be on the upwards trajectory. Look what happened the following season. Even with an FA Cup, it papered over massive cracks. Massive cracks that everybody could see, everybody knew about, and yet those problems were not addressed. That's the problem. That's the issue. And Mbeumo and Sesko should have joined Newcastle United. Sesko in particular, we could have got this Alexander Isak situation sorted had United not been so greedy. They would have tasted Champions League football with Newcastle. Yeah, absolutely as well. Yeah, that would have happened as well. These Man United didn't overpay for Onana. Oh, wait. Yep. Like I say, he wasn't bad at Inter. He wasn't bad at Inter. But for whatever reason, all that goalkeeping ability has just been drained from him. And now he looks terrified. Every time the ball's in the air, he looks terrified. Every time he goes for a 1v1, he looks terrified. Every time the ball goes anywhere near him, he looks scared. And maybe it is the pressure of United fans. Maybe it is the online pressure. Maybe it is the fear of, oh my God, if I mess this up, I'm going to have a ton of scrutiny online. I'm going to have like GIFs about me. I'm going to have photos about me and stuff like that. And maybe if he was to go to a club with less pressure, less anticipation, you know, like if he was to go, let's say he follows in Anthony's footsteps, for example, goes Real Betis or something. I bet you would see a better version of Andre Onana there than you would at United. I think it's just the pressure of United, the weight of the shirt is too much for Onana. My father-in-law is a United season ticket holder, unfortunately, but he's saying proper fights are breaking out between United fans every match. There just seems to be so much divide in that United fan base. Like, there's so many things that are going wrong. There are so many things that are issues that are going on. That there are major issues there at the club. And the thing is that no one's got a definitive answer of how to solve it because there's just so much going wrong. No one's got a definitive answer because there isn't a one-size-fits-all sort of answer to the problem. There's so many problems that require different solutions. And the problem is, I don't think the United fans are sat there listening. They're sat there listening to respond rather than sat there listening to understand. And then every United fan jumps in and they all go crazy and they all shout over each other and they're all fighting because they all think they're right. And I think the reality is that there's so many problems that they're probably all right in a sense. But at the same time, they're all wrong because they all think their problem's the main priority or their problem's the only problem. Amorim's not the be-all and end-all of the problem. The same way that the ownership and the Glazers still being there is not the only problem. The same way that the players being a Frankenstein squad being built by Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ten Hag, whoever else in between, and of course now Amorim, is not the sole problem at that club. There are just so many other issues, even more than that I've already stated. There probably are more. I'm not a Man United fan, so there probably are more in-depth issues that maybe I'm not seeing on the surface. But there you have it. There you have it. I think Newcastle had a lucky escape not buying Mbeumo and Sesko because both are bang average players. That half lucky season, that's it. That's harsh on Mbeumo. Mbeumo is quality. That's harsh on Mbeumo. Mbeumo's he's actually been decent in the opening couple of games, I'd say. I just think maybe not so much. He sort of died down at Fulham after the opening half an hour. He sort of died down at Fulham. But Mbeumo is quality. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's shown it at Brentford. He was good in the first game. He just couldn't score. And Buemo is good. Sesko, like I said, I've never really rated Sesko, but I think he will eventually come good at United. And let's be honest, he has. I know that yesterday was like his starting debut, but he only played 20 minutes in each game so far in the Premier League. So the jury's still out on Sesko. I wouldn't say he's been. No, I wouldn't say he's been absolutely horrific so far. I'd just say just needs time. I would say. I'd say he just needs time. Very early days so far. Amorim talks in riddles. Does he even know what he is saying himself? We're going to get on with the Amorim stuff. Once we get through these chats, we'll get through to what Amorim said last night, because there are some interesting things, and it could also lead to potentially the first managerial casualty of the season during the first international break of the season, unless Graham Potter beats him to it first. Leipzig must be laughing their cocks off. Absolutely. I mean, Arsenal are. Liverpool are. Everybody else didn't buy him. I don't really rate him. But at the same time, I don't think necessarily we should pass judgment in this United team until he's bedded in properly and actually started a couple of games, because I just don't. I think he needs a fair sample size. How much did they bring in? Let them trust the process. Big up to you, LFC fan. Love to have you with us, my friend. Champions League draws tonight. Absolutely. I wish I could be there for the live stream of it, but unfortunately I'm working again tonight, so I won't be able to. But yeah, hopefully we get some good and interesting ties. Both our teams. I'm sure you're looking forward to it, being back in after a year or so. New format, of course, the league phase format. So should throw up some interesting ties. I'm just going to throw this out there right now, though. Liverpool are getting Real Madrid and Napoli as 2 of the 8 teams that we face. If that happens, I'm Nostradamus. I'm a Nostradamus. I'm just throwing it out there. We're going to get Napoli and Real Madrid. Two of the 8 teams are going to be Napoli and Real Madrid. I can guarantee you. I really don't want to put the ball in the back of the net. Last night, when I seen the result, I laughed, and my wife couldn't stop laughing at the headline: United worst even result, pure goal. I love what the Grimsby goalkeeper said after the game. He was like, "I'm very disappointed in the way that they played, and I'm a United fan." That was amusing to me as well. Yeah, it's the same Onana who made a semi-final Champions League with Ajax and a final Champions League with Inter. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. Where's that guy gone? Where's he gone? At Cameroon, if the national team coach asks one thing of Onana that Onana does not like, take captain's armband away or play from the back, Onana flies back to Europe. Massive prima donna. If we went extra time, United would have probably gone through. But yeah, I mean, the chances is that obviously Grimsby faded as the game went on, as you probably would expect, in all honesty. But if that game had gone on for another 5 or 10 minutes longer, or like you said, gone into extra time, Grimsby might have gone out, and that would have been harsh on Grimsby, but that would have been the nature of football, I'm afraid. Do you think Man United will ever be back challenging as challengers in the next 10 years? Yeah. Because they've got enough money that eventually they'll throw enough money at it where they will. Whether it's going to be consistent or not, or whether it's going to be long-term or sustainable, I don't know. But they'll have enough where they probably will, over the course of the next 10 years, find someone who's going to get them back to a certain level. There's no doubt about it, I don't think. Which is unfortunate, because I want to see them in the mud for a lot longer than this, because it's very amusing. Onana wasn't solid at Inter, still made loads of mistakes, just like Ajax, but his mistakes wasn't covered by strong defenses and strong team base. So I'm going to really butcher your name, and I do apologize. Diocres? I'm so sorry, my bro, if I'm butchering your name, but big up to you, my man. Thank you for being here. Lovely to have you on board with us. Might be a bit harsh on Onana. You might be right. I think it might be a little bit harsh though on Onana. I think it was decent. The thing that you bought him for was obviously his playing out style. So I think where I may be right in saying that this Onana is different to the Inter Onana is the fact that him playing out from the back at Inter was so much better than what we've seen it at United so far. That's where I'm questioning it. But I think but I've always said like the main role of a goalkeeper is to keep the ball at the back of the net, which Onana doesn't do anyway. So what's the point? If you can't even do that basic thing, what's the point? Amorim couldn't even watch the penalties. Here's what I'll say to that though, bro. I remember Jurgen Klopp on most penalties that Liverpool took, he would look to the crowd. He would look to the Liverpool fans and judge the reaction of the Liverpool fans as to whether we scored or not. So whilst I understand that, maybe to show a bit of solidarity, maybe to show a bit of unity, maybe to kind of lead by example, maybe he should have been there watching the penalties with them. I will say that there are certain times where I've seen Jurgen Klopp turn away from the penalty to look at the Liverpool fans in the crowd and then purely based off their reaction, work out whether or not we scored or not. So I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm sort of hit and miss with that comment. What's the best football kit you got? Probably this season's Liverpool one. Probably this season's red Liverpool one. That's probably the best kit I've got. Love it. I do like the AC Milan shirt I've got as well. The AC Milan shirt is nice. I've got a Dortmund one as well, which is nice. The Werder Bremen one is good. And I got a couple of Mexican teams as well, which are actually kind of nice. So, yeah, the collection's building, and hopefully I'll get a few more by the end of the year. Man United always do think they're right. Yeah. Yeah. Long-term wise, upon reflection, hindsight-wise, maybe not. I have a few good shirts I swapped with other fans. The Continental Types 1990 Borussia Dortmund top, black and fluorescent yellow, and a Celtic top from Hillsborough game, similar colours, black and yellow. That's really cool. Like I said, I need to build up my shirt collection even more. I need to get some vintage ones as well. There's some really good ones out there. I'm just waiting for money to fall my way. Big up Will Hollingsworth. How are you doing, well, my bro? Lovely to have you here with us. Sesko couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree on Sesko. Fair enough. I would love to see Barcelona or Madrid at St. James's Park. I reckon you'll probably get one of them, to be honest. You'll probably get one, or you might run it back with PSG again. You might run it back with PSG again, which would be big. I also think I'm also giving out another prediction for tonight's Champions League draw. I think Tottenham get Olympiacos, Marinakis, and that story again, which I think would be amusing. So I'm running that one as well. I'm going with Tottenham to get Olympiacos, and yeah, like I say, Marinakis and Spurs reigniting that rivalry. Shocking that Sesko as a striker was the 10th penalty taker. I mean, for your big name striker to go that length, it is a bit weird, isn't it? I'll go to another stream now. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Peace out, bro. Thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate you being here, my dude. Really good to have you on board with us this afternoon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Big up Adil, who says that Amorim needs to understand that you don't always have to play all the attackers at once, and Buomo can rest one game and play Bruno and Cunha. This is where squad depth comes into play. The rotation side of it is a problem. Like, I don't know how early you've joined the stream, my dude, but I mentioned earlier, square pegs and round holes. Like, Amad Diallo is not a right wing back, but yet he's still being put out there as a right wing back. He's not a right wing back. Like, his best performances have come as a right winger. He can play that Mbuemo role. You don't need to play both of them at the same time. You can rotate one and then the other. Same with Cunha, same with Bruno. The problem is that he plays this 3-4-3 formation and it just doesn't seem to fit. The players just don't seem to fit the system right now. And maybe that is a case of United haven't got rid of some of these deadwood players. You're so slow with negotiations. I mean, you haven't even sold anybody. You've got rid of Eriksson and Lindelof, who had come to the end of their contracts. Great. You got rid of Rashford on loan. Fantastic. You're struggling to sell Garnacho. It does look like he will go to Chelsea for 40 million, but fat lot of good that's going to do when the transfer window is literally 3 or 4 days away from closing. Like, you've just not got rid of these deadwood players that you have. You've just struggled all season to get rid of players. Bringing in players, fine. Maybe the priority of those players, wrong order. But at least you brought them in. But like you say, they don't need to be played all at once. Especially when you consider, like, United's biggest part of the season is going to be when the Champions League and Europa Conference League starts. That's going to be the biggest round because obviously you're not in it, but what's going to happen is the teams that you're going to be facing during those periods are going to be teams that are going to be rotating. So you could maybe take advantage of the fact that you've only got one game a week whilst they're playing two. And if you take advantage of that, you'll be the fitter side, you'll be the more energetic side, and you'll be the side that ultimately could take advantage and get the win in those big games. Even if they're games that you're maybe not expected to go on and win. Don't be shocked if obviously you pick up a few more points than what you might. Another Prem team went out, Leeds to Sheffield Wednesday, but it's not getting much attention. Wouldn't get much attention due to obviously how big of a David versus Goliath encounter Grimsby was. But at the same time, still a bit of a giant killing. And, well, it is a giant killing in terms of league position and obviously different leagues and stuff. But at the same time, you know, Leeds, it was another penalty shootout, wasn't it? 3-0 Sheffield Wednesday. Leeds shocking from penalties. But yeah, Leeds, I guess, are still classed as a championship side. So I guess it's not necessarily as much of a giant killing, but it's still big in terms of obviously different leagues, like you say. Thoughts on Sesko not taking a penalty till the 10th one? Cowardice. I don't know if that was an Amorim decision or whether that was him. But if it is on him, that's cowardice. How are you the main striker? How are you worth that much money? I know that obviously you have nothing to do with what transfer fee you go for, but how are you said to be worth that much on that much money, and yet you're not stepping up to the plate when it mattered most to take a penalty against, with all due respect, Grimsby Town, and stepping up and leading by example for your club. How is that not a thing? Now, if it was Amorim's decision, why? He's a striker. You bought him to score your goals. So why is he not? Doesn't have to be the first. Doesn't have to be the first, but he definitely should be within your first 5. And judging by who was on the pitch at that time, he probably should be within your first 3. That is crazy to me. Looking at the crowd reaction is different to looking at the floor, looking defeated with the penalties. I get that, but you can still obviously use your ears to hear the noise and hear the crowd. I'm not like necessarily defending it, because I do understand where you're coming from. I'm just trying to think of all different angles when it comes to these types of things. And I mean, like I say, he looked broken and defeated in his post-match interview. He looked broken in the view. I mean, I've got it up here, so we'll go through this now whilst we've got it. This is what he basically said to the fans after the game. If we just bring this up. It says, I just want to say sorry to our fans. I have nothing to say anymore about the performance. When everything is so important in our club and you try to do everything, you have to come from pre-season. Even Arsenal, you lose the game, but you are there, you are improving, and you see the performance, but then reach this kind of game when everything is so important in our club. And when you start a game like this, I think my players are talking really loud about what they want. So I'm really sorry to our fans. I have nothing to say anymore. Bit of a ramble, that one. Bit of a ramble. Apologises to the fans. Talks about the improvements at Arsenal, but I've already stated, like, the games against Arsenal and the bigger clubs were no problem for Man United last season, and it doesn't seem like that's going to change this season. It's the games against the teams that are in and around them and below them that are going to be the problems for United in this campaign. He goes on to say that Grimsby deserved it. I know the best team won today. The best players lost, because when you are a team, you can win any game. It was really fair, the football today. So giving Grimsby respect, whilst also basically saying that his team let him down. And to be fair, I think there are a few players in that team that let him down, drop down tools, whatever you want to call it. He needs to take some responsibility himself, though. Goes on to say about Burnley. In the end, the penalties don't matter. After the game, the penalties, if you win or you lose, the feeling about the 90 minutes should be the same. Let's focus on the next game, and then we can have time to think about things. We have a lot of debts with our fans, so let's focus on the game. We have a job to do, a job to prepare, and then we'll stop and think things through. So it doesn't exactly sound like he's all on board with everything that's going on. It doesn't seem like he is completely on board with what's going on at the club right now. It doesn't seem like he's on board with everything. It seems like he's detached and he's emotionally and mentally drained. Within 9 months of being there, this guy is seemingly done at United. That's what I'm picking up from anyway. Like, obviously he may not. He may try and stick this out. But it was a bit weird that this guy didn't even want to join United halfway through the season, and they kind of gave him that ultimatum of like, look, it's now or never. You either join us partway through the season or you don't join us at all. So that right off the bat was seemingly an indicator that this was going to be an awkward situation. And then just reading his comments there, the rambling, the going back and forth, the kind of pointing the finger at his players. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. He seems like he's done. He seems like he's given up. It seems like he's basically going, I can't do this. I can't do this. And like I say, it's not all on him. It's his players. It's the board. It's the previous mistakes of the Glazers, previous owners, previous managers. All of them have left marks on this football club that over time have gotten worse, not been treated, and therefore it's going to take a lot of time for that treatment to take any kind of effect. It's just shocking. It's just shocking all around. Grimsby goalkeeper Chris the Pim. I'm a Man United fan, so I'm half fuming, to be honest. Yeah, I saw that. That was amusing. That was very amusing. You might as well bring him in. You might as well bring him. At least he might. At least with the whole he's a United fan, he might actually know what it's like to wear the shirt. It is Amorim, so rigid with his style. Why can't he help change his tactics? If things are not working out, he's like a one-trick pony manager, the same tactics in every match, no evolution. I will say that he is very, very stubborn in his tactical approach. And that was a criticism that I had last year of Ange Postecoglou. And you saw that in the Europa League, Ange was actually free to change his tactics. And that's what won him the competition. Ange's tactics changed in the Europa League, and it allowed him to actually go on and win the trophy with Spurs. Now, if it had done that maybe in the Premier League, then maybe Spurs might not have finished 17th, and they might not have ended the season with 22 losses or whatever it was. The fact of the matter is that Amorim's sticking with this 3-4-3, which, let's be honest, United fans, is something you wanted from a manager to do, to stick with a philosophy. Most of you anyway wanted to stick with a philosophy and an idea and try and see it through to the end. But even so, there are little tweaks you can do to change things. Positional tweaks, maybe certain tactical tweaks, maybe go a bit more long ball rather than play out from the back, maybe play out from the back rather than go long ball, things like that. There are certain things he can do, but it just seems like he's got one idea in mind. And that may have worked a few years ago. We've seen Pep Guardiola do it. He basically has plan A, and his plan B is just to make plan A work. But last year, especially, Liverpool won the league by having one of the most flexible and adaptive managers in the game. Every game that Liverpool played, Arne Slot adapted somewhat differently. Same basic outline, same skeleton of what he was doing, but little tweaks, little differences to the side. Maybe you'd start with like Diaz on the left rather than Gakpo. Maybe you'd go Diaz in the middle, Gakpo on the left. You know, maybe he would have started Jota up front with Diaz on the left. Maybe he would have gone Núñez up front for his pace rather than Jota. Maybe he would have gone with a midfield three of McAllister, Jones, and Gravenberch, as opposed to Szoboszlai, McAllister. Just little things like that. Just little tiny details like that. He changed every game to keep the opponent guessing and to adapt to every opponent. Amorim, partly because he doesn't have the side to do it yet, but also partly because I don't think he has trust in the players that he does have. For example, how the hell is Manuel Ugarte getting minutes over Kobbie Mainoo? Kobbie Mainoo doesn't solve the entirety of the issues and problems in that midfield, but I can guarantee you this: he doesn't harm them any worse than what Ugarte's doing. In fact, he will help them a little bit. Not completely, not entirely, but he does help them. He does help in there with what you need. But for whatever reason, Kobbie Mainoo has not been given the opportunity, the minutes to actually be in that midfield in order to help sort that United side out. It's mad to me. Fancy going to Almaty, just 200 kilometers from China. Would love to go to China one day. One day. Are there any Man United players you'd have at Liverpool? Obviously, you take Onana, but who else? I'd take Kobbie Mainoo. I'd take Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously, I'd take Onana. I wouldn't even trust Onana to be making the tea just in case he drops the tea all over the floor. I wouldn't trust that guy with any job at Liverpool, no matter how big or how small. I'd take Kobbie Mainoo, though. I would take Kobbie Mainoo to just as a different option to fill up our bench. He's the only United player I'd take. Don't blame Mainoo for wanting to leave. He was a star man in the England side that went to the final and can't get ahead of Bruno in a shit midfield. Get a solid DM as 6, Mainoo as 8, and Cunha as 10. I don't understand why he's not playing. I really don't understand why he's not playing. It's baffling to me. Like, when he burst onto the scene, he was incredible. And now it's like he's dropped off massively. I think for the evolution of his career, he probably does need to leave. But also, I think he should stay because it looks like he's probably going to outlast the manager. And I would safely assume and bet that whatever manager comes in next, if that is to be the avenue that United go down, they will make Mainoo. They'd be stupid not to, but they should make Mainoo their main man in midfield. That should be the avenue that the new manager should go down. And I reckon that if Mainoo stays, he may get that role. Unless the manager is, again, stupid. That is what I'm thinking. And that's why Mainoo should stay, because he's probably going to outlast Amorim, who, for one reason or another, does not rate him. I don't know why. Big up to you, Reluctant Gamer. I hope you're doing well. I love watching my United streamers after the game's over. They were hyping to get back in the top 6, and now it looks like they'll be bottom 6. I love it if that is the case. A couple of them were on fire last night. They were absolutely amazing. I think it's best if we ask Gyökeres if Amorim is a fraud or not. Well, he does like Amorim. I don't know. Maybe his success at Sporting was just a fluke, like how Dyche was in Europe. Even Pep changed his tactics when he had different players. He doesn't play false nine with Haaland. But it's not as if like he changed his tactics last year though. That was the main problem with City. City's main problem last year was, and to be fair, I know what you're saying now. I just thought about it. I know what you're saying in terms of Pep's changed his tactics. So when he started, he found out his fullbacks were not good enough, so he had to get a new defense. Worked out pace was going to help on the recovery. Worked out that pace going forward was going to help him with the likes of Aguero, the creativity of De Bruyne, that kind of thing. And then worked out as he went on that he could play a false number 9 because that was the way it was going about, because wingers were important, which is why Mahrez came in, which is why on the other side of things, you know, Foden's had good seasons in the past and all of that kind of stuff. And then obviously with Haaland last year, it was just all funnel it to Haaland. But Haaland obviously got stopped partway through. And that was the problem that City had last season. As well as being ran through their midfield, because their midfield were dead in terms of their legs, everything stopped. Everything was funneled to Haaland. And if you neutralised Haaland, you'd basically neutralise City, because no one else was chipping in with goals other than Josko Gvardiol, their makeshift left-back. So I get what you're saying, and I do understand that there has to be some level of adaptability. I wouldn't call his success with Sporting a fluke. You still have to manage to overcome Benfica and Porto, which are two extremely strong opponents in the Portuguese league. They're basically like the Real Madrid and Barcelona of that league anyway, and Sporting are like the Atletico that will occasionally have a very, very good season in which they manage to go through the legs of those players, of those clubs, and manage to actually win something, but it's not necessarily sustainable. But Amorim was on the verge of doing that. So I wouldn't say it was a fluke, his success at Sporting. I would just say that you've left the club, which I don't know a lot about Sporting, but I can't imagine they have as many problems and issues as what he was walking into at United. And I feel like he was pressured into making a decision to leave Sporting and join United. And he's ultimately made the wrong choice. He's ultimately made the wrong choice. At least getting a new manager as possible after the transfer window ends. They can get Xavi in tomorrow. Okay, so they get Xavi in. What was the point of this entire transfer window? What was the point of bringing in Xavi when a new manager is basically going to do the same thing? Is Xavi adaptable? Is Xavi flexible? I don't think he necessarily was at Barcelona. But that's because you're Barcelona and you're the top two clubs in Spain. So is he flexible? Is he able to work with these players? Is he able to adapt well, be flexible enough for these kinds of players? Because he's not going to get the kind of same level or caliber of player that he was getting at Barcelona. And above all else, does Xavi even want to go to Man United? I'm not 100% convinced. Nkunku to AC Milan. Chelsea just keep on selling these deadwood players, man. They just keep on selling these deadwood players. It's bizarre. How do they do it? How do they do it? Everyone's buying off Chelsea. Everybody's buying off Chelsea. Why can't Palace go to Chelsea and get a deadwood centre-back? They've got about 10 of them. Why can't Newcastle go to Chelsea and buy one of their deadwood strikers? Why can't Nicholas Jackson go to Newcastle? Just cut the price and let him go. And get this Isak stuff out of the way and done with. Unbelievable. Should Man United go for Southgate? He can't do much worse. And not only that, but I feel like if it comes to that, Amorim does go, I feel like United fans are going to have to make a compromise. They're going to have to make a compromise. You're either going to have to take a manager that is going to take a long time to work because he has a specific style, a specific way of playing with specific players that will change formation again from 3-4-3 to 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever it may be. So you'll have to compromise either in that way, or you'll have to compromise in a way that if you were to bring in someone like Southgate, yeah, the football is going to be diabolical and terrible. The football ain't going to be great. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be attractive. It's not going to be very easy on the eye, but you might get results. Those results may only last like a season, but you'll get results. You'll be consistent enough to maybe challenge for Europe. You may even get a good cup run out of it, but you're not going to get back to the big time. But it could be a very good case of we're going to reunite the fans with the club. We're going to bridge that gap that is developing between the fan base and the club. We're going to unite the players. We're going to get them all on the same page, because that's what Southgate did with that England team. That is exactly what Southgate did with that England team. And that is something I always give Gareth Southgate credit for. Boring football, mad mistakes when it came to, substitutions, deciding on how to play certain games, being in certain situations in games and not having the guts to go for it, go for the kill, go for the attack. Always sat too pragmatic, too defensively. But I can't fault the man for how he carried himself, how he represented the England team, and how he got every single one of those players on board, singing off the same hymn sheet and united as a unit. I can't fault him. And I feel like that is something, those are kind of the components and attributes that I think United could really deal with right now. They could really do with right now. But no United fan is going to be on board with that. No United fan is going to be on board with that because they won't like the football. They won't like the football that will be played. They won't like the way that it will sit 10 men behind the ball, stick Sesko up front as a target man, hit the target man, getting Buemo and Cunha to basically charge up the pitch, like basically Ole Gunnar Solskjaer ball, and then maybe even try and win some set pieces. If the board fires Amorim, they shift blame on themselves, to be fair. They really did their best with a good window. The fans should get off Ineos's case. I understand he's been backed. I understand the money aspect. But the one thing I will say is I do think some of that money would have been better spent in other areas. They still could get a goalkeeper, and they're still after that goalkeeper that's been in the news recently. I get that. But at the same time, that money that was spent on Sesko, who's to say that that money wouldn't have been better spent on a midfielder? They wanted Belieber. They could have got Belieber. They could still possibly get Belieber. But I feel like that was maybe more of a priority than Sesko. I feel like the midfielder and definitely the goalkeeper were definitely bigger priorities than what Sesko was. And because of that, that's why I'm saying maybe that money was better spent in those positions rather than on the striker. I don't know. I mean, Burnley would probably beat Grimsby 8-0. Wouldn't go that far, but I would probably have suspected Burnley to beat Grimsby, yeah. I wouldn't go that far, though, but I would probably expect Burnley to win, yeah. It's just bizarre that they didn't. Man United failed again. Many managers have won in clubs outside the top 5 leagues and flopped in bigger clubs. Why can't it be the same with Amorim? Maybe he's just not an elite tactician who can't adapt like Gerrard and others. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It's just, like I say, look at Arne Slot. Arne Slot walks into Liverpool, a seamless transition between Klopp and Slot. Why? Because the club has been ran to a fantastic level that the transition was going to be near enough perfect. And although a lot of Liverpool fans didn't think we'd win the league last season, we went on to do it. We went on to win the league. That's just the sign of a well-run club. If the club was well-run at the end of Sir Alex Ferguson's reign, the transition between Ferguson and Moyes would have probably worked out a lot better and a lot smoother than what it actually turned out to be. I'm not saying you may have won the league under David Moyes, but I think the transition would have been a lot smoother. And then you went down this route of get rid of Moyes, bring in Van Gaal. Oh, we don't like Van Gaal's style of football. Get rid. Bring in Jose Mourinho, who at that point was a dinosaur, but somehow still managed to get your team to win a couple of trophies and to finish second. And at the time, he said that was his greatest achievement. And we all laughed. And we all laughed at that. But in hindsight, he was probably telling the truth. Because again, no one was willing to admit at the time the issues and problems that United were going through. No one was willing to admit that. No one was willing to accept that. And what happened? The problems continued to deteriorate, get worse. And then look at what happened. In hindsight, we're all turning around to Mourinho and going, you know what? You're actually right. That was an incredible achievement, what you did. You are still the special one. Even though you have no trophy to show for it in terms of a Premier League title, getting second with that squad was incredible. It's not necessarily about the manager. Of course, the manager is a big part. But again, it goes beyond the manager. It's about how well run your club is. How the long-term goal of the club matches up with the ambition and the plan in motion at the club. Because the manager's just a cog in the machine. But the overall machine still needs to be running smoothly, even if you take that cog out and replace it with another cog. And again, Klopp and Slot are not the exact same. There are minor differences between both. But the similarities are still there for all to see. The adaptability is there from Slot, where he came in, saw that Klopp's DNA was all over this squad and went, right, I can adapt to this. I can use this Klopp DNA, but I can just add my little fingerprints all over it to manipulate it in my image slightly. And then we'll start transitioning it more and more. And that's why this season, we've gone all out in the transfer window, trusted Slot, and gone, right, we're going to get you these players. We're going to get you Wirtz. We're going to get you Kirkes. We're going to get you Frimpong. We're going to get you Hugo Ekitike. Because we know what the plan is for the overall image of the club. And we know then, if Slot was to leave tomorrow, we know what kind of manager we should be looking for as a replacement. United basically went, Mourinho's a big name, we'll take him. Van Gaal's got a lot of stature in the game, we'll take him. Didn't quite work out that way when it came to, but what does he offer? What's his fundamentals? What's his philosophy? All of that kind of stuff. You take long to get through that. I do. I ramble. I do apologise. I do ramble. I do apologise if obviously you're sat there and you're bored. I do apologise if you're sat there and you're thinking, what is this guy talking about? I do apologise. I do ramble. I do. And I'm rambling now. The irony being that I'm rambling now. So I do apologise. If you're sat there and you're annoyed and angry, just let me know in the chat. Just let me know if that's happening, and I will shut up and move on to the next question. I do apologise. Was Villa not run well before Gerrard came in, or Tottenham before Ange, or Chelsea before Lampard? I mean, Tottenham's never been well run. So Tottenham's quote unquote success under Pochettino was in spite of the ownership. That was Pochettino all the way. Villa, obviously, when Gerrard came in, had just spent a few years in the Championship, if my memory serves me correctly, came up with, was it Paul Smith? I want to say his name was Paul Smith. No. I don't remember his name. Dean Smith. That was it. Dean Smith, I think. I'm sure it was Dean Smith. Came up with Dean Smith, survived in the Premier League after spending a lot of money, may I add. A lot of money to stay up. Managed to do so. Gerrard took over after a successful spell at Rangers, and it just didn't work out. He just wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for the club. That is somewhat on Gerrard and somewhat on the club for putting him in that position. And Chelsea before Lampard, I mean, he got there because of club legend status, really. He got there because of club legend status. He'd done an okay job at Derby, and the club were going for a transfer embargo. So there was really nothing to lose there for Chelsea and appointing Lampard. But Chelsea were obviously run to be basically just win trophies. Just win trophies. That's why they kept on chopping and changing their manager all the time. Because Abramovich was obviously a person that would give them whatever they wanted, but in giving them whatever they wanted, basically had this short fuse of go and win me a major trophy, otherwise you're gone. And that's why Chelsea went through several different managers during their successful years of Abramovich's ownership. Why can't the manager just not be right? Why you have to spend 200 to 400 million to realise after 2 years, like Ten Hag? Sometimes you don't need to spend money. Again, we only spent 10 million last summer, won the Premier League. Sometimes you don't need to spend money. Sometimes you do, though. Sometimes the rot is set in so deep that you need to rip it out and start again. And you're attempting to take out the rot, but at the same time, it's somewhat slowed down a little bit because you've not really gotten rid of anybody this summer, apart from one or two players. But you've added more to it without getting rid. So the rot's still there, but you're just piling more stuff on top of it, which is going to make it even more awkward to dig in and get rid of it. It's just an awkward situation, and until that occurs, you're probably not going to be moving forward anytime soon. Because again, another manager comes in and you're left with the same problems, the same issues. And like I say, that manager may, in spite of everything, still manage to maybe do something really good. Might be able to win you a Carabao Cup. Might be able to even win you an FA Cup. Maybe if you get back into Europe, maybe it could win you a Europe Conference or a Europa League. But it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be anything long-term or consistent. And you're right back to square one again the season after. They're the problems you've got. Mourinho's Fenerbahce had 0 shots on goal yesterday. Disappointing. Yeah, I was hoping for more from Mourinho. I was hoping to see him back in the Champions League, but it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be, unfortunately. It would have been great to have had him back in the... it would have been great to have him back, but yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm just having a look to see if anything is broken in the meantime whilst we've been live. Anything at all? No, don't look like it. Only thing that's seemingly new is Tottenham have made an offer to sign Xavi Simons, about 70 million euros, according to Florian Plettenberg. Anyone think he's going to be going Spurs? Just to round this off. Anybody thinking Xavi Simons is going to be going Tottenham? Personally, I think it's another one of these things where Spurs do all the legwork, they get the deal done, and then just as they're about to sign, seal, and deliver it, Chelsea swoop in. Bit similar to the Eze situation. I think Chelsea are waiting in the wings to pounce, and then Tottenham are going to be left extremely disappointed again that they've lost another player. So let me know what you guys think about that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's automatically management's fault. Why can't a manager be just not good? Why you have to spend 200 million to realize that the manager is just shit, like what happened with Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag, though, there was in his first season, there was moments where you could say he's decent. He's doing what he did at Ajax, and then he stopped doing it. Like, he just stopped doing it. He started playing a different way, a way that you hadn't really seen from him before. He just played a different style of football that was like, surely this is not what you're training them on the training ground with. But it happens so consistently that you're like, oh, it actually is. This is not what you were brought in for. This is not what you did at Ajax. With Amorim, he's rigid in his approach, as we've previously discussed. But part of it is probably down to the fact that he doesn't have the right players to play this kind of system. Like, he's just sorted out the front line, and I think the front line is decent enough that can play out his role. I think they just need to gel together. I think they just need to work on, obviously, their unity together. But yeah, as far as everything else goes with that, the midfield clearly is not set up properly. The defense is sort of there, sort of not. You know, De Ligt's good. Yoro is very good. The third one, though, is Luke Shaw, no. Harry Maguire, no. Anybody else that you throw into that back line, not ready yet. And then the goalkeeper doesn't exactly fill the defence with much confidence. So money has to be thrown at it, because what you currently have at your disposal is just not good enough to carry out the manager's tactics. You have to give them a chance or an opportunity. Otherwise, you're just going to be going through managers going, you're going to have a limited budget. You're not going to have much to play around with. You just got to make do with what you've got in the squad. Good luck. And every now and again, you might find a manager that can adapt to that. Like I said, I think if Gareth Southgate came in tomorrow, you'd adapt to a point where you probably would get a top 8 finish in the Premier League. But would you be able to carry that forward for next season? I doubt it. Would you be able to carry it for 2 or 3 seasons? Definitely not. So you're going to have to take a chance at some stage. You're going to have to take a chance with someone at some stage at one point or another. And just hope for the best. I've enjoyed this stream, though. It's been nice to actually talk about something other than the Alexander Isak situation. Sick of talking about it, but I'm sure I will at one point or another before Monday's deadline. So let's suppose Amorim fails to win many games after this and gets sacked. Will you still give the next manager 2 years and 200 to 400 million to finally judge him? I mean, I'm not a United fan, so go and do whatever you want. But if I was a United fan in that situation, right? Again, what I think that was like the old way of United's thinking. The old way of United's thinking was new manager, new direction. Here's a lot of money. Go and do what you need to do. The plan now with Jim Ratcliffe should be Amorim's not the be all and end all. If he was to leave tomorrow, we need to find a new manager that is similar to him that can pick up the pieces and build on what he's left behind. That should now be the plan. There still needs to be 200 to 400 million spent on this team because there needs to be upgrades in certain areas and there needs to be strength and depth. The strength and depth argument, I cannot argue enough, needs to happen. But there does need to be upgrades in certain areas. The central midfield is so soft. It is so soft. Bruno Fernandes can't play as an 8. Casemiro is not getting any younger. Manuel Ugarte is useless. Kobbie Mainoo is, for whatever reason, not trusted by Amorim. So with that all being said, there does need to be upgrades there. There needs to be upgrades in defence. There needs to be strength and depth with them in that area. The right wing back area, I think, needs strengthening. And you may need 1 or 2 more players here and there, including, of course, the goalkeeper, as we've discussed. So the next manager should probably get 200 to 400 million. But if that manager then, for whatever reason, fails, and you'll obviously have to specify what that failure would be, and they bring in a new manager, that manager should be able to pick up where the other 2 managers have left off and go, right, this is a good squad. I just need 2 players, maybe 3 at most, maybe like a youngster or something, where I can then get them to that next level. Because that's how you build as a club. And the manager is just there to oversee everything, build upon it, build some of them players up, and then you move on to an upgrade. Give you an example. I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to get Arsenal to winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, right? But he's laid a solid enough foundation and spent enough money that if tomorrow he was to leave and a new manager who is an upgrade on him came in, that manager wouldn't need as much as what Arteta has spent, because he would just need a fraction of what Arteta has spent to maybe take it to be 1 or 2 players here and there, to be like, right, good core squad, couple of players that I'm not 100% sure on, but I can replace them with better upgrades, and that team will go on and win the league. And with my brains and them not doing it on the pitch, I won't need as much money as what they did. Because when Arteta came in, he took charge of a squad which was poor. I know he won them an FA Cup, but the majority of that squad was poor, declining, in desperate need of some major rebuild. That is what Amorim walked into as well. Amorim walked into a Frankenstein squad of Moyes players, Van Gaal players, Ten Hag players, Mourinho players, whoever else players. It needed to be ripped out, started again, and that's exactly what Amorim's done. And Amorim spent a fair amount of money, there's no doubt about it. But the next manager needs to obviously continue that. And if that next manager is not successful, then the manager after needs to just pick up where the other 2 managers have left off, see the foundations that have been laid, and go, right, I can build on this. And the build is 1 or 2 key players, fraction of the price, but gets you to that next level. I know it's a ramble. I do again apologise but I hope that in some way, shape or form does make a little bit of sense. Ten Hag has a very clear plan. It's so visible. It's just bad. Amorim seems to have no plan. the end goal is there. It's just the steps to get to it, I think, are a little unclear. I think what Amorim tried to say yesterday is the team let him down massively. It did seem that way, didn't it? It did seem like Amorim was kind of shifting the blame on the players. Some of them are down tools. Some of them don't want to play there no more, that kind of thing. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. And even more interesting, like I say, if Burnley can do something incredible on Saturday, and that is beat Manchester United. But look, guys, I've got to end it there. I've got to run. I've got to dash. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. Thank you all for being here on this Thursday afternoon. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Absolutely love talking to each and every single one of you today. Thank you for everybody that's interacted. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. Really great to talk to you all. And like I say, quite nice to talk about something other than Alexander Isak for a change. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you for your love and support throughout the entirety of this journey that we're on together. Really does mean the world to me. You guys are absolutely awesome. And until next time, I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you all again in another video, live stream, whatever it may be. Take care, guys. See you soon.